Good morning and welcome to the 2025 Birmingham Bloomfield Chamber Technology Forecast, hosted by the Chamber and also this amazing facility of the Village Club. So thank you so much for coming. If I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, my apologies. I'm Joe Bauman. I'm the president of the Chamber. On behalf of our team and our board of directors and our ambassadors, welcome to the final of 3 forecast breakfasts that we've done, and we're hoping that this one's going to be the best one yet. So, quick show of hands before we get started. Who's attending their very first chamber event this morning? Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Another show of hands. Who is attending their 3rd forecast breakfast this morning? Look at that. Wow. Well, we must be doing something right if you kept coming back. So, thank you all very much for that. I want to introduce our team real briefly. If you've not got a chance to meet everybody, our operations manager, Kelly Bennett. Kelly checked you in this morning. She's in the back over there. Our marketing and events manager, Annie Hopalong Burns. Annie's around here somewhere. Our membership engagement manager is Layla Broughton. And our videographer is Megan Davidson. So hopefully you've already been captured by Megan this morning. Quick note about the Chamber. We're about 660-ish member businesses that we support from our 6 communities of Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills, Bloomfield Township, Beverly Hills, Bingham Farms, and Franklin. We're a staff of 4.5, so the math isn't real great when you divide 660 into 4. So we rely greatly on volunteer leaders as well to help us do all the programming and outreach that we do. The Chamber is led by, first, our board of directors, who set policy. They approve the budget. They hire and fire the executive, which I'm always mindful of. And really just they are the ones who steer the operation. And then our ambassadors, who I always refer to as our foot soldiers. These are, again, volunteers from member businesses. They help us greeting our new members, doing our new member action plans. They help put on events like this by serving as hosts and guides. They do care calls with their existing members. We really couldn't do everything that we do without them. So if you are a member of either the Chamber Board of Directors or the Ambassador Group, please stand and be acknowledged. Thank you. We also want to acknowledge our sponsors for this morning's program and also for the entire forecast series. Without the financial backing of these member businesses, we wouldn't be able to put on programs like this and still, in today's environment, keep them relatively affordable. There is no surcharge for your eggs this morning, just want to point that out. So, but, we really rely on our sponsors to help us, again, be able to put on the programming and the events that we do to help you grow your businesses. So our diamond sponsor for the entire series has been Clark Hill PLC. Our platinum sponsor is Bank of Ann Arbor. Our gold sponsors include Fenner, Melstrom, and Dooling, PLC, and Consumers Energy. Our silver sponsor is McDonald Hopkins, and our bronze sponsor is F&M Bank. So thank you to our sponsors. And then lastly, but certainly not least, I want to acknowledge our legacy sponsors. So our legacy sponsors is a smaller group of member businesses that make a significant annual financial contribution to the Chamber, and we use those funds to defray the costs of a lot of our no-cost and low-cost programming that we do throughout the year, so benefiting primarily our smaller member businesses that may not have the resources to participate in some of the things that we do. Because of the financial support we receive from our legacy sponsors, they're able to enjoy the entire basket of benefits of Chamber membership at no cost. So we're very grateful to our legacy sponsors for 2025. They include Michigan United Credit Union, the Bank of Ann Arbor, Fenner, Melstrom, and Dooling, Comcast Business, Clark Hill PLC, and North American Midway Entertainment. So thank you to our legacy sponsors. Okay, now I have the pleasure of introducing our moderator for this morning's program. Our moderator is Ilya Smith. Ilya is a member of Clark Hill, based in their Detroit office. She has technology and data governance practice, and it is expansive and includes transactional, regulatory compliance, and program building experience. A former executive and in-house attorney in higher education and Fortune 100 corporations, Ilya intuitively understands governance and risk management strategies and effectively partners with clients to drive outcomes while managing risks. A significant portion of Ilya's work focuses on assisting clients gain resiliency in cybersecurity, implement privacy protections, responsibly onboarding AI and technology solutions, and to safeguard valuable business data and personal information. At this time, I'd like to bring up Ilya to begin our program.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning. I have the distinct honor to introduce our speakers and to kick off the programming. Our first speaker, Wade Murley, is the founder of Fuuzify. He specializes in AI consulting and automation engineering. With expertise in prompt engineering and AI strategy, Wade helps businesses implement practical AI solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Previously, he was the VP of Product Development at Bazooka, where he helped refine the AI strategy canvas and scalable prompt engineering frameworks. Wade has facilitated AI workshops for businesses, trained executives, and professors at Louisiana State University in AI implementation, and he holds a bachelor's in marketing from Walsh College and is an Ingrain AI certified implementer. Welcome, Wade. We look forward to your thoughtful and timely comments.
I'm really excited to be here with you all today, this morning, and I've spent the past 3 to 4 years, studying everything I can about artificial intelligence, investing thousands of hours and dollars into just trying to learn as much as I can about it. And I've really tried to focus not just on a technical standpoint, but actually like how you use this from a business perspective. So how to actually use artificial intelligence to boost revenue in your company and leverage it for efficiency. And what I can kind of say is I kind of have Easter on my mind, so I would say I've really put all my eggs in the AI basket, and there's not a doubt in my mind that AI is going to absolutely change the way businesses operate on a fundamental every day. So one of those ways, or to reinforce that belief, I was doing some research for this presentation, and one of the stats that I found was that companies investing in generative AI are currently receiving a $3.70 return for every dollar that they spend towards it. And even the top performers are achieving a $10.30 ROI. And if you ask me, when you try to invest in the S&P 500 and stuff like that, I know that's a little shaky right now because things are down, but you're really trying to get a 10% annual return. And what this stat is saying, that companies are seeing over 1,000% return when they put $1 into artificial intelligence. And it all kind of stems, I think the big thing it stems from is this technology adoption curve. And what this graphic kind of represents is, there's been numerous technological advances throughout history, and there's obviously, the general population kind of accepts it differently. And what you can see from this graph is that there's an early market, there's a chasm, and then there's a mainstream market. And really all that means is that there's the early market, or the people that are willing to take the risks. And right now the businesses that are in that group, they're the ones seeing they're reaping the most benefit and the most bang for their buck. And if you had to ask me exactly where we are kind of in this technology adoption curve, I would say that we just kind of crossed the chasm, and more businesses are starting to see the potential of how to leverage this technology, and they're actually doing it on a day-to-day basis. So my goal today is to kind of, wherever you fall on this curve, is to kind of move you over to the left and try to get you to understand the benefits they can have sooner rather than later, because it's going to have a greater impact today than it will next year. And a way to kind of reinforce that point is, while I was making this presentation a couple days ago, a memo was leaked at Shopify, and I'm sure many of you know what Shopify is. It's an online e-commerce website kind of provider. And what their CEO said to their staff was, they said in this memo, was that right now, AI is a fundamental expectation for every employee there to know, and they're not really allowed to hire anybody without proof that AI can do the job first, which is pretty interesting, and I think it just reinforces the fact that more and more companies are going to start, pushing this narrative and kind of going in this direction. Now, the real challenge with AI is it's not as obvious as, some of the other technological advances in the past. So it's not like, when people were riding horses around and then cars were introduced. It's artificial intelligence has kind of been going on behind the scenes, and companies are kind of keeping their cards close to their vest. And I think the biggest thing to kind of wrap your head around, this is kind of a pun, is that this is intelligence that we're talking about. And it's kind of hard to visualize what that looks like because it's just not obvious. But the reality is that artificial intelligence is kind of ubiquitous at this point. So that means that it's available everywhere, anybody can access it, and the cost is quickly going to zero. So if you think about industries where you seek an expert for intelligence, they're kind of sweating a little bit because, think of you go to a doctor for advice. Now you can just go to ChatGPT and get a personalized, you can spend, instead of sitting in a waiting room for hours, you can just go on to ChatGPT and probably get better service than you would from your doctor who's going to come in there. 5 minutes later, he tells you something and then he's out. So it's kind of interesting. But a way to kind of reinforce that, just to visualize that for you all, is I found a study which was coincidentally done by the University of Michigan and the University of Minnesota. And what they did was they took 127 upper-level law students. And I also want to point out that I try to find recent studies because this stuff is changing every day, and every week is almost like 7. It's like dog years. This stuff is changing so fast you can barely keep up. So what they did in this study was they gave these upper-level law students 6 tasks that you normally find in a law firm. And they basically asked some of them to use AI, some of them not, and then they kind of measured their results. And what they found was that AI significantly boosted the productivity of approximately 5 out of the 6 tested legal tasks by 34 to 140%, which is pretty impressive. Now, I kind of wanted to go a little bit deeper and visualize how that looks inside of a company. So when a company hires somebody, the goal is to kind of earn a return on that employee and that salary that you pay them. So I kind of put together just a hypothetical scenario here, which is, let's say a law firm hires an employee, they pay them $70,000, and they want to just earn $1 back for every dollar they're paying them. Not really the smartest business decision, but I wanted to be really conservative with these numbers just to, kind of play it safe. That means that if you were to boost the employee's productivity by 34%, that company is now worth another $23,800 to you at the end of the year. On the higher end, at 140%, that means that employee is generating an additional $98,000 for you per year. And there's 3 things I want to kind of bring up in this too that I didn't tell you about that study. Number 1, in 4 out of 6 of those tasks, the quality was actually better too, not just the productivity. Number 2 is that the AI model that they used during that study, there's better ones out now than that one, than they even used in that study. So if they were to run it over again, I guarantee you that the productivity and the quality would be even higher. And number 3 is the model they used was one of the ChatGPT's $20 a month models. So thinking back to that beginning slide of how companies are seeing possibly a $10.30 ROI for every dollar they put in. If you spent $20 a month on an employee to be $240 a year, and they're able to generate an additional $98,000, I actually think that beginning stat is kind of low. So kind of something interesting to think about. Now, when I met with Layla and Joe to kind of talk about this presentation, one of the things that I really wanted to bring up to them, and it was kind of refreshing that Joe kind of emphasized this back, was just to kind of go beyond the theory and show some of the demonstrations of what AI can do in your business. It's one thing to tell you about what it can do, but it's another thing to show you. So I can't tell you how many times I laugh when I see some AI presentations, and they start with the history of artificial intelligence. And, I look at a college course, and that's where they start. And it's just not really valuable to all of you that are business leaders, and it doesn't really provide any value. So when I think about implementing AI into a company, I don't just throw it into systems and processes that are already existing. I kind of try to think of it from a strategic point of view. So I put together this AI use case spectrum, and before I get into these demos, I want you to kind of think about these questions to yourself. So number one, the automation of manual tasks, the easy wins. So what are the manual things that I'm doing today that I might be able to get rid of that are relatively easy? Number two, the acceleration of existing workflows, so speeding those things up. What are the things that if I could drastically speed up would be tremendously useful? And number three are just new capabilities that have transformative potential. So what can AI do that we've never done before to transform my business? So right now, generative AI kind of covers 4 main sectors: text, image, voice, and video. I'm probably going to have time to go over text, image, and voice, but I'm going to gloss over video, which I'll kind of tell you about later. But diving into text first, right now, I personally use and have a subscription to each of these models here. I'm sure you've seen some of these, and some of these tools you probably haven't heard of. Each of them you can get access to for about $20 a month. They all kind of copy each other in terms of pricing. But obviously, they all build proprietary models that you can kind of access in the back end that is a little bit safer than just the front end use case of these tools. For me personally, I use text-based use cases in a variety of situations, and I use it almost every day. So whether it's research and summarization, data analysis and interpretation, marketing and content creation, customer support and communication, internal operations and admin, or education and training, I'm using text-based tools all the time, whether it's just going from 0 to something because you're just trying to get some ideas, or trying to actually plan internal strategies like go-to-market strategies or website copy and things like that. I included some industry-specific applications to kind of help you kind of visualize how you could maybe use this depending on if you're in any of these industries. And I think the important thing is just to be kind of open-minded and think about the things that you're currently doing that involve text, and think pretty much if you do something that involves text, AI can kind of help you with that and assist you. The first demonstration that I want to tell you about is something called deep research. So pretty much all those tools that I mentioned on the other page, they have this new functionality called deep research. And what deep research allows you to do is it kind of allows these AI models to do literally what it says, a deeper research into the internet, scraping sources, pulling together information, and the output's a little bit longer in terms of how much depth it goes into. So to kind of demonstrate that, this is kind of more of a personal example, but I think it kind of demonstrates how you can kind of use this personally, but I'll go over some use cases for businesses as well. So my mom has been calling all her friends about, we need new windows at the house. So she's been calling all her friends and neighbors about who they got to put windows in the house, how they like them, how much they cost, things like that. So what I did is I went to ChatGPT. I told it I live in Clawson, Michigan, and I need to get windows on my house. And I want to compare, all these different companies. So I got WeatherGuard, Magic, Renewal by Andersen, Pella, and Wallside. And I asked it to compare them all on price, quality, ease of use, and warranty. So what deep research typically does is it'll ask you some clarifying questions after that initial query, just to make sure that it refines its search and does it the best job possible. So some of the questions it asked me were how many windows you need and their type, your budget range, any preferences on materials, and how important energy efficiency is to you. So some of these things I wasn't even thinking of, like the energy efficiency aspect. But I answered those questions, a picture window, 2 double hungs, 10,000 or less, vinyl or fiberglass, and pretty efficient but not critical. So what ChatGPT did is it spent 8 minutes, you can walk away from your computer, all this stuff is autonomous. 8 minutes, it scraped 18 sources, all from various sources on the internet, and it put together a super deep research just output of all those things I wanted: price, quality, ease of use. And it used all those sources to kind of, scraping Reddit, different reviews, different things like that. And all I have to do is scroll all the way to the bottom. I mean, there's more information than I really need, but it gave me a clear answer here. And I'm not getting paid by these window companies, so I'm not going to tell you exactly who we decided to go with. But the main takeaway here is you can use this type of stuff for, competitor research, to research your own company and see maybe how you're kind of appearing online. You could use this, even personally, like if you have medical issues or something like that, I guarantee you're going to get some new insights from things like this. So the sky is kind of the limit in terms of using deep research. The next thing I want to go over is image generation. So 2 weeks ago, ChatGPT created a new image model that surpasses everything else that's been out there. And I'm going to showcase some of that. But the real reason that this model is so much more impressive than the other ones is because it's finally nailed text generation. So, before you'd probably see some images of people with like 6 fingers and maybe like an extra arm or something like that. But now, this prompt right here was just asking someone to write on a whiteboard, from the vision of like an iPhone with the reflection in it and everything, and it nailed everything. And if you looked at this like online scrolling through social media, there's no way you'd be able to tell that this is an AI-generated image. And the other cool thing that this image model can do is it can actually take sketches and then you can turn those into graphics. So this is a use case here where someone was trying to create a video thumbnail for YouTube. They gave it some instructions on where things were placed, and out came a really like eye-grabbing and thumbnail of a guy hitting a baseball with the text nailed as well. So I wanted to really capture how you could use this in your business. So I was looking at the Chamber's website, and next week they actually have an event scheduled to visit the Birmingham Museum. So on their website, they have a picture of what I assume to be the Birmingham Museum. I don't know, but I added, okay, I would assume. And then I also added their Chamber logo, and that's all I gave it. And I put those into ChatGPT, and I asked it to create a Mad Men era kind of advertisement. And I also gave it some information like when the event is and times and a little bit about the house and when it was built. And out came like some of these graphics here, just off those 2 source images and a little bit of contextual information. The only thing that I could see, which I'll point out that you kind of have to do a double take, is if you look in that first one, there is a spelling error in the word join. There's Jain. So, the only thing, it doesn't nail it every time, but if you're a graphic designer right now, I would definitely be sweating a little bit in terms, or I wouldn't be telling my boss about this stuff at all. So pretty revolutionary. And before I go to the next slide, I want to kind of go a little bit deeper and see how good this image model was. So I want to give a shout out to Link, because Link does some pretty cool stuff. He designs and creates custom jewelry. So I wanted to see if I could go on Link's website and see if I could take a piece of his jewelry and turn it into something that you would see in like a normal magazine or something like that. So I grabbed this picture of a necklace, and sure enough, this looks like something you'd see on any jewelry magazine. And I don't think it's necessarily completely identical, but obviously this is the worst it's ever going to get, and it's only going to get better. So I think it's pretty interesting, like the applications that you can use this for, like whether you need graphics for your website, maybe you're putting together lead magnets. Really, you're only limited by your own imagination. So,
Hey, wait. So just to clarify, you just gave it the piece of jewelry.
Yep.
And it came up with everything else.
Yeah.
The image, how she's wearing it.
Yeah. All I asked was, honestly, for this one, all I asked was for a model wearing that necklace, and that's what came up. But if I wanted to get more specific, like, the ethnicity of the person, whether it's a man or a woman, you can just get, like I said, it's kind of like you're limited by your own imagination in terms of what you want to do. And obviously, if you have like a photography background or a graphic design background, you can kind of use those terminologies, like maybe you know Andy Warhol's style or something like that. So you can kind of like implement your expertise there to really refine the output. The next thing I want to demonstrate is voice and how good AI voice is getting. So I have 2 tools here. One's 11 Labs and one's Notebook LM. And what Notebook LM is a tool by Google, and I believe it's free to use. You might need like the basic Gmail kind of starter plan, but I think you at least get some use cases for sure without paying. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate exactly what that sounds like, and hopefully my speaker's still hooked up. But this, like what you're looking at here is the interface of Notebook LM. And all I did here was I went to the Chamber's website and I took their membership page and another page, which is the benefits of this chamber. And what this tool does that no other tool does, it will actually generate a podcast of those pages. So I'm going to start a little bit quiet because I don't want to blast everybody here, but.
Today, we're going to dive into some really interesting stuff you found. Looks like the Birmingham Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, right, from their website, no less.
That's right.
So, we're going to cut through all the marketing hype and all that and really try to figure out, I guess, what a Chamber of Commerce really does, for businesses. And we're talking specifically those 6 communities that they represent. So more than just sort of networking, which is kind of what everybody thinks about, right?
Yeah.
We're going to look at the benefits, the why, the how, all of that good stuff. I guess just as a starting point, you grabbed their benefits and membership information section
Exactly.
from their website.
Yeah, that gives us a really good picture of how they present themselves, what their values are, what their philosophy is, what resources they offer.
Okay.
Kind of a fascinating look at how this local organization tries to position itself as a vital support system for its business community.
Yeah.
So pretty realistic. I mean, the only problem with that is everybody kind of recognizes those voices at this point. So if you were to use them, people can kind of tell what you used. But I think, again, like I said with the image model, that's the worst AI is going to get now. It's only going to get better from here. And the way that I kind of visualize using that inside of your businesses is, you can throw your website in there and ask it to kind of review the kind of brand messaging that you have and make sure it aligns with you, what you kind of want to be perceived as. I used it for research stuff. So like, if you have medical issues, you can throw a really complicated research study in there and you'll have 2 podcast hosts go through and break it down really simply. Even if there's like new laws, regulations, you can just throw a big PDF in there. You can throw website links. You can throw YouTube links. You can just dump a bunch of data in there and basically have these 2 individuals kind of break it down in a more conversational manner. Going back to like what I said at the start of this presentation was like, I'm gonna kind of gloss over video. Like I don't really have anything here because I think it takes a lot more technicality and I don't know if the video models are necessarily as adept as these other tools. So I don't really have anything there because typically what you're gonna do with these video models is there's not like one tool that just does everything. You gotta kind of, take some of the voice stuff and combine it with the image stuff and then the text stuff. It gets a little bit more complicated. So I would say that that's getting better every day, just like everything else, but I wouldn't really spend too much time in that area right now. So I feel like I would be doing everybody in here a disservice if I just like told you all that and didn't tell you what else you guys are competing against right now in terms of what businesses are implementing inside of their businesses. And this is like kind of where I've spent a lot of time going is AI automations and agents. So I don't know if many of you have heard of agents, but I know Salesforce has their new agent force and they're going to be pushing that heavily this year and things like that. I'm not really aware how great that is. From my understanding, it's kind of general, and I mean, it's not going to be able to serve your business as much as some more bespoke solutions, I guess you could say. But I wanted to kind of like talk through some automations that I've built internally to help my business, and I hope that it kind of sparks some ideas for all of you. So the first one is a business card collector. So, you go to a lot of these chamber events, people are all handing out their business cards, and either number one, you don't want to manually enter everybody's contact information into your phone because it's just a pain. And number 2 is personally, I don't want to have hundreds of people that I meet one time in my phone contact list that I'm never going to reach out to again. So what I did is I built a custom GPT, which is a solution that ChatGPT offers where you're kind of like building an internal application. You're just giving it instructions. And literally the only instructions I gave this is I'm going to give you a picture of a business card. Just parse out the information that I'm giving you. So right here's an example of my business card. All I do is, because typically I have it on my phone, I'll take a picture on my phone of a business card. AI is smart enough to have vision capability, and it will pull out each specific field that it needs to out of that business card. And at the bottom here, you can see that I have a button that says confirm. And when I click that button, it goes to an Airtable CRM, which Airtable, if you don't know, is just kind of like Google Sheets, Excel, but it's got a little bit more functionality to it. So once I have everybody's information in here, I can do pretty much anything with it. I can scrape their website and do a deep dive on that. I can, really, again, like your imagination is the only limit. Personally, and I probably shouldn't be telling you all this, but I have it so I just input a little bit of data about, where I met that person and anything specific that we spoke about, and I can click a button called write this email, and it triggers a workflow that's going to write an email to that person as a follow-up. So it's very personalized, but it's really not personalized, if that makes sense. So again, I probably shouldn't be telling you all this, but it's just a cool way to kind of, this is like a very basic workflow. To go a step deeper is I have a Calendly link on my website. So when people book a call with me, I have a few questions here that just kind of like go a little bit deeper, and it's kind of a filtering process to make sure people are serious and actually interested in the technology, and it gives me a little bit more intel about what they want to discuss in their industry. So I have some questions here, and what happens when when someone submits that and books that link, it triggers an automation, which is a SWOT analysis. So I'm sure all of you know what a SWOT analysis is. It's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Takes all that information. Here it does a research on their company. It checks their company LinkedIn. It does the research on the SWOT analysis, writes a company description. And even at the end, you can have this information shot. If you use Slack, you can have it shot in there instantly. You can have it shot over to an email. Again, your imagination is the only limit. So what I did is, actually, last time I was at the economic forecast, I met Khaled here, and I'll try to pronounce your last name. I know.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's okay.
Is it Kaznakatbi?
Very close.
Kaznakatbi.
Great job. A+.
Yeah. I did practice a little bit on your LinkedIn. I know there's yeah. And I took your email out of this too, just to, I didn't want to give you too much advertisement, but he works at Vantage Point, and I just filled in some dummy data to see like kind of what would happen. So I threw in his LinkedIn, and sure enough, it gave me a full report on Vantage Point, who they are, some basic things like that, a full breakdown of his history based off his LinkedIn profile, SWOT analysis, so some of the things Vantage Point, their strengths, their weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and really some key discussion points. So you can have that automatically triggered off of like a calendar link or something like that. And then the last thing I want to show you is like a very advanced use case. I just spent 8 weeks going through a training that basically teaches something called document generation. And it was taught by 2 individuals that I have a lot of respect for, Tyler Fisk and Sarah Davison. And the whole concept here is, businesses are generating documents. Every industry generates documents. So basically what that does, or the use case here, I'll kind of break it down for you, is Tyler's family owns a garden or a greenhouse manufacturing company that distributes greenhouses to people that want to start their own market garden. And what that means is like people, they're interested in a greenhouse, but they don't necessarily know all the fundamentals of, starting a business. You got to think of like the farmer's market down in the Eastern market. So it's like people, if you could give them value in terms of a business model, who to communicate with in their community, what plants to like what crops to grow at this time of year based on what part of the nation they're from, what grants are available to get like all this personalized stuff, and you were able to provide that as like a lead magnet after a hour-long consultation with somebody, the chances of them like converting to a sale is exponentially higher. So what this workflow does is all you do is you dump in a transcript of your call with an individual, and it triggers a 50-step workflow or 50-plus step workflow filled with different agents that all have different roles. So again, this is kind of complex, but I want to show you this because this is the reality of some of the stuff that you guys might be competing against. So there's like a router agent that tells other agents what to do. There's a quality assurance agent that reviews all the output to make sure it's it's good enough. There's an agent that's been trained on all kinds of agricultural books that know everything about agriculture. There's a business mentor agent that is a specialist in business strategy and things like that. There's an agent that's specialized in the company's infrastructure and the products they service. And after all that, just off of that hour-long transcript, a 55-page report is generated that goes over everything that you would ever need to know about starting your own market garden, who you should talk to in your community, what grants that you need to apply for to get it possibly for free or covered by the government. This whole extensive report formatted perfectly. And the reason I want to tell you this and go this deep into this is because each of you could start to offer these services to your clients. I mean, you have a call with them, and then if you're able to give them a personalized lead magnet, something that really goes above and beyond what others in your industry are providing, there's no doubt that they're going to want to work with you rather than a competitor. So other than that, I mean, that pretty much wraps up my presentation. I want to kind of leave you with two things, which is number one, I really encourage all of you to just get started using this technology. Again, you can get started for free with a lot of these tools. Be a little bit careful of what you input, but $20 a month in ChatGPT can get you a really long way. And the second thing is there's a lot of fear about AI taking jobs and things like that. And what I want to reinforce to everybody in this room is you have decades of experience, and that doesn't necessarily qualify the same thing as intelligence. So, if I was to put together an NDA agreement or something, I would just have to trust AI that it's producing what is required. And if sorry, my phone was screwing up there, but going back, sorry, I lost my train of thought. All of you have expertise. If I were to create an NDA with AI, I would just have to kind of trust that it has what it needs in order to be legally, suitable. But you all have expertise that what excellence looks like. So you know exactly what needs to be in every type of workflow, whatever solution, because you've been doing this stuff for decades. So again, just really encourage all of you to kind of start diving into this technology, and the faster you do, the better payoff that you guys will see. So thank you so much for your time, and I know these presentations will be sent out by Annie afterwards, so thank you again. Really appreciate it. Oh, you have that binder?
Thank you, Wade. That was incredibly inspiring and engaging. Thank you so much. I would like to introduce our second technology guest speaker, Rick Grubb. Rick is the Chief Information Officer at RPM, where he leads the company's information technology organization with a forward-thinking vision and strategy roadmap. Under his guidance, the IT team at RPM is dedicated to advancing automation and enhancing operational efficiencies, always maintaining a focus on the essential human touch. Rick is a firm advocate for RPM's proprietary technology stack, and he is committed to furthering this edge through strategic software investments that drive innovation and competitive advantage. Before joining RPM, Rick spent over 24 years in IT, spanning industries including management consulting, automotive, healthcare, consumer packaged goods, chemical manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and manufacturing. He holds a chemical engineering degree and an MBA from the University of Michigan. Welcome, Rick.
Everyone hear me okay? I'm gonna have marketing shorten that intro. It's a little too much. I'm not a slide guy. I'm more of a get some bullet points down and wing it. So you're gonna have to look at my face for most of this presentation. I'm sorry, and also hear me. Wade did a really good job explaining where we are in the AI journey. But just real quick, I work for RPM. We're new to Birmingham. We're about a 12-year-old company. Last year, we were purchased by a private equity firm. We moved into the Palladium where the Imagine Theater is now on the second floor. And during the ribbon cutting ceremony, I was asked to come do this. That was probably in January maybe. And I'm like, now it came up. I'm like, oh, I have to do this thing this week. So So Wade was talking about ChatGPT. I think when people think AI, they think of two things, ChatGPT or Terminator. And we're probably somewhere between those two things. Although I do have stories that are more on the Terminator side that I just shared with Joe, but I don't think that's good for this session. Ask me after. Ask me after. But who here does pay the $20 a month for ChatGPT? Okay, all right. I was wondering how many did it. Like, I use it every single day. I used it last night to ask it what socks were proper for this outfit. And it said not the gym socks. And I used it. My daughter plays volleyball, and she's a libero. That's the person who dives in the back to stop all those spikes. And she was trying to fix the net, and she's not tall. That's why she plays in the back. And she jumped to do something and rolled her ankle and had to get x-rays. And I put the x-rays in the ChatGPT, and it told me what the doctor was going to say before the doctor had told us. She's fine, it's just a sprain. But real quick, RPM is a vehicle broker. I always like to say we move things in or on other things, and we don't own any of the things. So Stellantis will call and say, I have 100 VINs, vehicles in Toledo. I need to move to our dealerships all across the U.S. We'll give you $100 a car to move it. We're like, that's awesome. We'll take them. Then I call a truck driver and go, hey, Joe, I know you got room on your truck. I'll give you $80 to take this car to Dallas. And Joe takes it, and we make the money off the margin. All we do is facilitate the transaction. I came in about 3.5 years ago. They really didn't have much of a tech stack, and all of it has been about automation and using technology, including AI, to make this more efficient and automate. I think the current biggest use case, and it was kind of like that first step you showed, Wade, is about automation of things that are just done repeated over and over. So I'm going to tell you some examples of what we do inside the company, and then I have a short 3-minute call. I will tell you his podcast thing from Google. We record meetings, and I never want to listen to the meeting recording. I put it in that, and it's more of a podcast. I listen to it on the drive-in or whatever, and it tends to be shorter. So it highlights all the things that happened in the meeting that I might have missed. All right, so let's see. All right, so ChatGPT in the real world at work, I'll give you a great example. So I'm an IT guy. My team has to record their time in a system called Tempo, which keeps track of what projects they're on in 15-minute increments, and I need to pull that data so I can give finance information to capitalize their labor. We have a script that's written in Python, which is a programming language, that calls multiple different APIs, which is sort of like store procedures to call and get information from different systems. I had rewritten it because I didn't like the way it was working, and when I rewrote it, it wasn't working, and I didn't know what to do, so I just copied the whole entire code and dropped it in ChatGPT and said, this is what's going on, and I don't know why it's not working. And the first answer it gave back in probably less than 30 seconds was the correct answer. It said, oh, it's probably because the people you're looking up are no longer active in Tempo, and because when it's not active, it doesn't pull their time back. And I went and looked, and it was absolutely right. I would have found that with 4 more hours of checking and reading documentation, but ChatGPT knew the documentation for the API for an obscure piece of technology that I was just using at my company. So when you talk about productivity, it saved me 4 hours, and honestly, I don't really do much anymore. I'm an exec. So it was a lot of money it probably saved for me like being, it's just true, it's just true. I facilitate, I coordinate, I don't make anything anymore. So it was just amazing. Like, that was my first, like, holy crap, this thing knows. I get it. It might know, like, major things, like things that you can go study. Like, it knows history, I get it, whatever. But how did it know this obscure document, probably on a website embedded somewhere, for another thing? And it answered it correctly the first time in, like, under 30 seconds. I use it every single day for examples just like this. But let's talk about how we use more complex models inside RPM. So AI is sort of an umbrella term, but there's and ChatGPT is a LLM, a large language model. But there's another part of AI, sometimes used interchangeably. It's ML, that's machine learning, that's using past information to predict future information. So when we get 1,000 vehicles into the system in the morning, we have a program that I would just call an algorithm now, it's not AI. but that will build 9-car haulers. You see those things on the road. It builds the most efficient 9-car haulers. We want to maximize the capacity so all 9 spots are used. It also has to know where they can be based off weight and size. You don't want to put the heaviest things on top, all that kind of stuff. And it will build a shipment, and we will know for those 9 cars, we're going to make, say, $2,000 from Stellantis to move this for them. But then based off of the 15 years of history we have, it will predict what a carrier will charge us to move it. It'll say, you should not sell this for more than $1,200. And we call that the max pay. And then if an agent has to make the call and negotiate, and we'll talk about that in a second, we tell them you cannot pay a carrier more than this number that was predicted by our AI model. And for every dollar you go below it, you get a higher incentive. So try to maximize the margin. So we used our past information to predict the price in the future. It's before, we just told everybody a 15% margin was minimum. So if it was $1,000 we were going to get paid, you had to sell it for $850 or lower. But we were leaving money on the table because the market we could drive the market down by getting lower prices. So our margins go from 15% to say 22 because we're predicting better on what the prices are going to be. We have some really complex ones that algorithm I told you about. We're starting to write a thing with reinforcement learning, and if you haven't heard that, that's one of the more complex ones, but it's basically how any of us learn anything. Like as a kid, when you do something wrong, you get punished. When you do something right, you get praised, and you kind of do that to a computer. You kind of reward it for doing the right thing, and you kind of just think of it more as like a game. You get points when you do it right, and you get points when you do it wrong, and it learns over time how to maximize its point potential. This is part of the scary part a little bit in that we're starting to use a reinforcement learning to build these shipments. So before, we would just say, here's the model we want you to use, in this place we want you to do that. But now it's learning like, why did the humans make it this way? Okay, and it gives it a ranking, like a 5-star shipment versus a 4-star shipment, and it learns over time. And then it just starts spitting out 5-star shipments, and we're still testing all this. But currently in my algorithm, if someone in the business says, why did your algorithm build the shipment this way, it doesn't make sense, I can track every single thing about why it made that decision. With the reinforcement model, I go, that's what the brain said. We built the brain, and the brain says that's the best one. It's harder to track why it made the decisions because we taught it based off our own. So do that. So I'll leave you with a little bit. The last one I just want to show is I have this use case I want to share with you guys. So typically when we build the shipment, one of the methods we get it covered is we have a person like Jerry Maguire making a phone call, show me the money, negotiating with a carrier, trying to get the best rate. And you have the relationships you've built. This guy's your buddy. I've worked with Joe for years. I always give Joe $1,000 for this shipment, but maybe it's only worth $800 in the market, and they're not pushing it. So we recently engaged a startup organization, and they have an agent that takes inbound and outbound calls. Again, I can't tell that it's not a human, and I'm going to give you an example here in a minute. A carrier is calling in on a shipment they saw on a website that they want to carry for us. We have a price set, and they have a price they want to pay. This agent does the entire negotiation without a human at all. I want you to listen. It is all fake, but it is call center background sounds. There's phones ringing and things like that. At some point, the agent says she has to ask her boss. She goes on hold, and the sound stops, and then she comes back on, but it is not real. All right? So let's see how this works. I'm going the wrong way.
Well, how can I help?
Hey, calling about your Joliet, Illinois.
Sure, can I get your MC number?
843818.
You can hear some background noise.
Let me check that MC real quick.
Maybe not as loud this time, but
Thank you.
Loan Transport LLC, right?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
in real time I can watch this call,
Great.
pull data from our
Number on
system,
that posting.
and insert.
Yeah. It's going to be 1668.
So she's just establishing who's this person calling and making
Okay,
sure they're
one sec.
vetted.
Okay.
Her name's Kate, by the way.
Alright, so this is Joliet, Illinois, today between 6 a.m. and 2 p.m., delivers Monday between.
This is
6
just
a.m.
data
and
it's
4
reading.
p.m. It's a load of non-skidded coils weighing 45,000 pounds. I'm looking for a flatbed with 6-foot tarps or a Conestoga. I have 700 on this.
So I'll pay you 700
Would
to
you
move
like
this.
book load?
You said, non-skid?
He's confused, so she's going to answer.
Yeah, non-skidded coils.
I see. I'm gonna need 800 for this one.
I can check on that for you. What's your name?
Peter?
Okay, and is this a good phone number to reach you at?
It is, yeah.
Great, and what's a good email?
So here's the part I really, sorry it took this long, but this is the negotiations about to happen. So he wants 8, she wants 7.
Okay, let me check on that offer for you.
Thank you.
I don't know why she's pausing for, she's just being human.
So, we can't do 8 at this point. Any chance you could come a bit closer to the load board rate?
I could do 775.
Let me see.
Let me see. She's just toying with them.
I understand. So, no chance you could do any better than 775.
No, what was your best?
What's your, I think she does 710,
I asked my boss and we could offer 725.
725.
720? Okay. How about
So he does human think, middle, 750.
Let me see.
Just pausing for human time.
Okay, I was able to get you 735 here.
725? Okay. Yeah, I'll get that.
There you go.
What's the miles again?
So I'm just going to go back now. No, but she's negotiating the entire rate. We have implemented this at our work, and in every single lane, that's like the origin to destination pair, in every single lane we put this in, we have gotten 9% more margin on every call than we did from the humans doing it. Now in my bio, I did write part of that. I still believe in the human touch. You still have to build relationships. It is not my goal to get people out of jobs or whatever. My goal is to automate 80% of every shipment we have. We have a very small company. We have 250 people, and we made $500 million last year in revenue. And my goal is to make that get to $1 billion with the same size of the same staff by automating most of this work. So not everything works this way. Like we moved Mary Barra's car, so we had phone calls with her. Some stuff is high touch. Sometimes we move really expensive military equipment that's high touch, still human. But if we automated 80% of what we do right now and just did the same amount of work with the staff we have, the company would be 5 times the size with the same exact staff. So this is one of the models we're using to do this. And you're right, the return on this is crazy. I think we pay for the amount of calls we use for that agent. And that's only one use case. We use Kate for lots of other things. That was an inbound call. Kate does outbound calls. So we have people in Colombia who we pay $12 an hour, I think, to just call and find where the truck is at. If you don't have your mobile app on your phone in your pocket, or we don't have a device on the truck that your trucking company allows us to read, we don't know where you're at, and if you're going to deliver on time, we have people make phone calls all day. Where are you at? Kate just makes a phone call. She has a list, and she knows how long it's been since the last time one has been called. She calls. We pay around $20,000 a month for that agent, and all we had to do was release, I think, 4 of the Colombian agents to pay for it. So the return on investment is huge. Like you said, dollar for dollar, it's huge. We didn't necessarily even release them. We moved them to something else that was higher value to the company instead of doing these manual tasks. So these are real world examples. Hold on, I lost my notes of how we use this at in RPM. So yeah, just in summary, I would just say the original ask Layla said was, can you just tell me what your life was like before AI and after? And no, that doesn't make any sense. I don't think. What I could tell you is what I do now and what I would have had to do before. So before, agents making phone calls. Before, lower margins because of just human, like you feel, I don't know if anyone here, I love to negotiate. Please, if any of you want to buy a car soon, take me with you. I love that crap. I run into confrontation. I think it's fun. But not everybody feels comfortable having those harder discussions. And when you build relationships, especially in like trucking companies and they're like your buddies, you're not apt to push them just because last week you paid them $800, but this week you only want to pay them $750. It's harder to do that. So we don't use Kate or the automation for every single call, but we use it for ones where we know we can push the market. Yeah, that's it. That's we just try to make more money and increase the margin. So thank you.
So thank you to Wade and thank you to Rick. I don't want to steal Rick's thunder, but what we were talking about before we started the program, I'll just give you the punchline. The computers killed the humans. That's all I'm going to say. So
There's more context, please.
beware, everyone. Well, thank you both. It's a fascinating topic. I think it's a topic that, AI is front and center. You can't go anywhere without hearing those two letters together. But I think a lot of people are still trying to figure it out. And our attempt this morning was to just give you a little look into a window of potential opportunities for your business when it comes down to providing better service and increasing productivity. And I think those are two things that we all strive for, regardless of whatever tools that we use. And this is a big old new tool that is going to be around for a long time and continue to get better. So again, thank you so much. Just a couple of thank yous before we send you on your way. Again, I want to thank our speakers. I want to thank our sponsors. I want to give a special thank you to Bloomfield Community Television, which has captured our entire forecast series. They make it available on the YouTube channel. So if you have a coworker, colleague who wasn't able to be here this morning, who you think would benefit from it, they can watch the entire presentation. They do this through community television in Bloomfield Township. This is part of their service area. And I just want to briefly call up Jose Guzman, who is the Grants and Engagement Coordinator for Bloomfield Community Television, to tell us a little bit about the other services that they provide. Where's Jose?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. My name is Jose Guzman, and I just wanted to thank the Chamber for having me here today to talk, as well as have us allow the opportunity to record this presentation. I did confirm that it will be available tomorrow afternoon on YouTube, so that link will be available. And also just want to talk a little bit more about BCTV. Bloomfield Community Television provides public education and government programming on Comcast Cable Channel 15 for residents of Bloomfield Township and Bloomfield Hills. We also serve Birmingham, Beverly Hills, Bingham Farms, and Franklin, and we're also available via WOW and AT&T, depending on the local provider. We have a highly qualified production staff and state-of-the-art studio. Our facilities are available for tours and workshops, and we offer opportunities to record events such as this, which are then available on YouTube, as well as on demand through our website, our social media channels, and then local cable channels as well. Please feel free to check out our YouTube channel, which is at Bloomfield Community TV, one word. And a quick plug, we are hosting an orientation and movie trivia event with prizes on Monday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, at 1 p.m. at our studio, and yes, there will be a taco truck. If anyone is interested in getting more information, I'll hang around in the back, and I have business cards. And if you're interested, if you have an event that you would like to get recorded that will be beneficial to the community, feel free to reach out to me, and hopefully we can get something set up. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Jose, and again, Michael. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for supporting our forecast series. This does conclude our 2025 forecast series. We appreciate all of your support, Enjoy the sunshine and make it a great day. Thank you.